What's up, guys? Welcome back to Huddle to Hardwood, your home for Michigan State basketball, coming off a senior night victory against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. My name is Holden.
My name is Jacob, and today we're going to be going over our overall thoughts on the game. We're going to be talking about some positives we saw some from the game, some negatives. We're going to talk about Holden's experience as his own member, and then we're going to do a quick look ahead to our game on Sunday. So, without further ado, we're going to jump right into it. Going into the stats, we had two leading scorers that both had 21 points, and we're going to start with Cohen Carr. Holden, how did you feel about Cohen's performance?
Yeah, Conan Carr had a great overall game. Tom Izzo said after the game that he thinks it was arguably Conan Carr's best game as a Spartan. I mean, can't really combat that too much. Can't. I mean, we haven't really looked into all like intricacies of all his games and all the stats. But this game, yeah, he had 21 points, 6 rebounds. Biggest thing that stood out to me is when 8 for 8 from the free throw line, didn't miss a single free throw, just was knocking them all down. And then I thought that was very impressive. Just me being in the zone, everyone was like, "Holy crap! Like this dude hasn't missed a free throw yet. Like it's crazy." People next to him were like, "Yep, here comes a 1 for 2. He's already made 4 free throws. There's no way he's gonna make the next one." And then he just kept knocking him down. So I thought that was really impressive. And then yeah, he went 1 for 2 from the three, so shooting 50% from three, 100% from the free throw line. And then other than that, I think he just had a really assertive game. He had that awesome stretch with 3 straight dunks in a row, coupled by um, Jordan Scott right after having his first dunk as a Spartan. After that sequence, the Breslin was going crazy. So that really like turned the momentum in the game. I think we finally started to pull away once that happened. But that 3 straight dunks was just like absolutely electric. But like I said, yeah, super assertive. He was, he had a lot of really good offensive rebounds where he just skied over everyone and grabbed him, gave the team second chance opportunities. He was driving, he was making some good post finishes, just going to the rim and getting fouled at a high clip, and then producing those fouls into free throws. So I think he had a really productive game. And yeah, hopefully we can continue to see this out of them. What did you see from Cohen Carr?
Yeah, I mean, I was super happy with how aggressive he was. It was about time because he has those games where he shows what he did today, and he finally did it consistently. I was really happy that he came out super aggressive. And I mean, look what happened, 21 points. And he was the heartbeat of our team for the first couple minutes. Like, if we didn't have Cohen, I think the outcome might have been a little different. I know the stats say otherwise with Jeremy having a good game as well, but Jeremy didn't show up for that first 8 to 12 minutes. Cohen was the main reason we were in the game. And I was really happy with how he played from start to finish. He didn't really have a cold stretch. He was aggressive throughout. And yeah, I thought overall he had a great game. But moving on to our other leading scorer, Jeremy Fears, who also had 21 points. How are you feeling about Jeremy's performance?
Yep, 21 points, 8 assists, back-to-back games, 21 points. I thought he played very well, other than like you said, maybe like the start-ish of the game. But after that, he was very assertive, getting his own shot. He hit a lot of mid-range shots this game. He was just getting to his spots, the
It
elbow
was
or in the mid-range.
automatic.
Yeah,
Automatic.
he was hitting them at a very high clip, made some tough layups too. There was one where the Izone went crazy for, where he was like halfway in between like dunking it and laying it up, and he was wide
And he
open. Nobody
missed
touched
it.
him, and he missed it. Thankfully, that led to 2 rebounds in a row from Cam Ward. Then he put it up and got an and ones, got the
Mhm.
crowd back into it. But I just remember when Jeremy Fears missed that shot, everyone was like, "What the like?" And everyone was just like baffled that he just missed a bunny of a layup. But
Yeah.
other than that, I think 2 back-to-back really strong performances from Jeremy Fears. Um, we might talk about it a little bit in the next video, but I think it's gonna come down to this next game between him and Yaxel Lendenborg for the Big Ten Player of the Year award.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I hope he continues to keep playing like this, especially on Sunday against Michigan. But he's been the heartbeat of our team the entire year. We would be pretty much nothing without him. So
Yeah.
hopefully he continues to play like this coming into March. But
Yeah.
what do you think about Jeremy?
I thought overall he had a good performance. He shot the ball well, like I was saying, automatic from the mid range. Like he was just that guy in that game. He um he did start off a little slow, which I wasn't too happy about. But he picked it up And then one of the things I really wasn't happy about is his technical foul.
He didn't
it
deserve
was
that one.
I know it was a little soft on the technical, but he still reacted some type of way, and it was really stupid because like you were saying, he's the heartbeat of our team. He's the only reason we're at the position we're at, and he just picked up his third. We can't have him getting a technical and getting his fourth right after that. And he's got to be way smarter than that. We can't afford him to do that. I know it might have been a bad call. I know it was a soft technical, but the way he reacted, like it gives them a reason to call a technical. He's just got to keep his composure and just focus on the game because like I was saying, he can't be doing that. We will be absolutely screwed
Yeah,
if he does stuff.
I don't know what they showed on TV necessarily what you saw from it, but like it happened pretty much like right in front of me. Um, I don't think he deserved that technical whatsoever. Like it was just one of those things where they called a foul on him before the dude kind of tripped over himself and just fell to the ground. I don't think Jeremy Fears deserved that third foul, let alone
Mhm.
technical. All he did the technical, he literally just looks up and as they're showing the replay, and he just kind of goes like that, and the ref was just petty and was like boop and just teed him
Well,
up right away.
so
And Tom was pissed about it too. It was
this is
just
what I saw on the TV because he got the foul, and this is the part I'm talking about specifically because I didn't see it, but this is literally what he did. He got fouled and he just goes, oh, oh, and then he's like all over here whining and crying and just like throwing his hands up. And it's like in the NBA, you can pull that all you want because like that's just you get paid millions of dollars, the league lets you do that. In the NCAA, you can't throw a fit like that. They're a lot stricter with the rules, and that is like what I'm talking about because that makes the refs look at you in a different way. For
yeah,
him pointing at it, he had all the refs' eyes on him after he did that. They were waiting for him to do something super small, especially with the spotlight the national media puts on him. They were looking for a reason to call tech, and even if it was just pointing and he didn't deserve it, he had the eye on him, and because he was throwing that fit. So he's got to be smarter. And like when I say keep your composure, like he can't be throwing a fit like that. If you point at the screen, whatever, like you just got to keep your composure. You got to be smarter than that. You can't pick up your fourth right after your third. Um, but anyways, that other than that, I was pretty happy with how Germany played. But anyways, moving on to our first senior, Jackson Kohler, who had 15 points. How are
yeah. I
you
think
feeling about
Jackson had
this?
another strong showing. I'm glad that he's these last couple of games he's starting to get back into form a little bit slowly but surely. Two really strong games in a row. Really need that to keep going out of him. I thought this game he was picking and choosing his. I think he had a really good shot selection this game, in my opinion. Um, he did hit a three, maybe two threes in this game, but
Yeah, he was 1 for 4.
yeah, for the most part in this game though, like he had the opportunity to shoot a three. He did his pump fake that he's been doing a lot recently, but when he did that, he didn't just pump fake and then pass it or take one dribble and pass it. He took a pump fake and he took it to the hole. And there's a couple of times where he took it to the hole after his pump fake, and then he made strong finishes or got fouled in the lane. So I think he was really assertive in the post this game. He had a couple good post moves. He had his early in the game right in front of him. He had his little patented little turnaround post fadeaway that was really clean. Um, but yeah, I think he had a really good shot selection this game. I think he had a strong last two games, strong senior night, and hopefully he can keep this going. Before you get in, well, before you talk about Jacks real quick too, one thing I wanted to say just about my overall thoughts is this is like one of the few games this season where like our big four, like our four main returners this year, really had all strong games all at once. They all almost had 15 plus points. You don't really see that too often. I think that's really
Mhm.
important for us coming down the end of the stretch here because it normally feels like one to two of those guys usually comes to show up uh, more often than not. Maybe sometimes even one and the others kind of lag behind, but it's very rare this season that you see all four of them, put together really solid numbers. So I thought that
Yeah,
was really huge in this game. But yeah, how do
yeah.
you feel about Jackson's
I
performance?
mean, before I talk about Jackson, to kind of back off what you're saying, if our starters play like this the rest of the year, we can beat anyone. And I really truly believe that. And I know the Rutgers score shows something a little different, but you can't, if you watch the game, you know that score doesn't resemble how the game actually went. We'll talk about that stuff a little bit later in the video, but I mean, really strong performance, and I really would like to see that more going into March. But Jackson had a really good game. I thought he was aggressive. He shot 11 shots. He shot over 50% from the field. And I really liked his shot selection because he's had some questionable shots, especially when he was in his slump. So I was happy with how Jackson played. Um, but yeah, moving on to our last senior that plays. Carson Cooper, he had 14 points and he shot 4 for 6 from the field. So how are we feeling about Coop?
Yeah, just another strong game from him. I thought I think he's continually showing how much of an improved post scorer that he's been. It used to be, you get the ball in the post and you're just kind of like, like let's pass it back out. Let's get the ball moving a little bit more. Now it's gotten to a point where I'm confident, like I want them to feed him the ball down there because he's been a lot more consistent. He's showed a lot more polished post moves that you haven't seen from him in his first, 2.5, 3 years of him being in a Spartan uniform. So that just goes to show how the development that this kid has had, and it's just been really impressive, and it's been huge for our team. We'd be in a lot worse position right now if we didn't have Carson Cooper the way he's playing right now. So
Mhm.
I'd like to see him continue to, assert himself in the post. He's been rebounding really well recently. He's been playing back to his, good defense that he has been. He struggled a little bit in like that middle portion of the season, but need him to keep playing well defensively, especially in this next upcoming game. But yeah, keep seeing strong things from Cooper, and hopefully they keep going.
Yeah, I was really happy with the way Coop played. I Yeah, I mean, I didn't really have anything negative to say about what he did. I thought he played well defensively. On the boards, he could have been a little bit more aggressive. He only had 6 rebounds that game. Part of me is a little salty because he sold my bet.
Yeah.
But I mean, he could have been a little more aggressive on the boards. But other than that, I thought he took really smart shots. He was really efficient, and I would really like to see him continue this like hot stretch because 3 out of the last 4 games, he's had excellent games and is averaging close to 15 points a game. So we really need him to show up in March. So, but the last player we're going to talk about, one of our freshmen who finally, he's been having a pretty good 3 game stretch as well. He's been kind of quiet throughout the season, but Cam Ward with 9 points and 9 rebounds in 20 minutes played, which I don't know if that's the most he's played all season, but it's pretty close because he usually doesn't play even near 10 minutes a game. So, how are we feeling about Cam?
Yeah, he used to play a lot more before his injury. That kind of
Yeah.
like he was playing really really well in the the start of his season. He was the leading scorer in the biggest game to start our season against Arkansas. He had 18 points, and we were like, "Holy crap, this dude's gonna be sweet." And then he kind of had that lull in the middle of the season with his wrist injury. Had that brace on for a while. It was kind of affecting the way he was playing. He's finally out of all that, so I think he's starting to turn it up a little bit more, starting to get his confidence back. Um, but yeah, 9 points, 9 rebounds. I think he was really assertive. Obviously on the glass this game. Izzo's continually being able to trust him on the defensive end. Other than I guess thing I was gonna touch on was the only negative thing I have for Cam Ward is that he's tending to pick up a lot of fouls. It feels like whenever
Mhm.
he's left one on one, he's trying to go for the block a little bit too much, and he's just fouling guys when he shouldn't be. I think he had 4 fouls this game again.
Yeah.
Um, Other than that, like Izzo said also in the post game after this game and the game before that, like you see at the end of the games when we need to get a stop, like against Purdue, for instance, or in this one where we kind of sold it late, instead of putting Jackson back in at the end, he
Yeah.
left Cam in there because he was like, yeah, they had a lot of guards in, and Cam can move a little bit faster laterally, and we can trust him to keep up with those guards a little bit more. So I think it's important that Tom Izzo trusts Cam Ward defensively, as young as he is. I think he's versatile there. Just got to pick up just a little bit of the fouling kind of thing when he's one on one in the post a little bit. Stop going a little bit for those risky blocks and all that kind of stuff. But strong performance from him. He always brings a lot of energy. He doesn't. necessarily score a whole lot of points, but when he gets those rebounds, those putbacks, sorry, stuff like that, it provides a lot of energy for the team. So hopefully, if we can keep getting work like this off the bench from either, Cam or Kerr. Kerr kind of had a quiet game today, but if we can keep getting the energy off the bench, whether that be from Cam or Kerr on a consistent basis, I think it's going to be really big for us coming down the stretch. But how do you feel about Cam Ward?
Yeah, I mean, I love the way he's been playing. He's been super aggressive lately, and I absolutely love it. He yeah, he is getting himself into foul trouble, which he needs to be a little bit smarter. However, with him like being as aggressive as he is, I like it because it brings energy and it like helps the guys around him want to play aggressive too. So I also like how he's shot 4 for 6 today. I know they're all like dunks and putbacks or whatever, but he was really efficient today. And I mean, yeah, I really like the way he's playing and the way he's being super aggressive. And you could, like you said, you could tell Tom really trusts him at the end of the game. And his defense has been really good. And I really hope that he's gonna continue this on to Michigan. But um, yeah, so I guess to move on to some of the positives of the game. I already touched on it a little bit, but like I really liked how Cohen came out with a lot of energy and aggressiveness on offense. I'm not going to touch too much on it, but yeah, Cam, like we were just talking about, I have in my notes, he came out super hot. He had 5 points straight and one that he actually made the free throw. Then he had another bucket and then he got a steal and he was just hustling for the boards all over the place. He came out super hot. Then I know this player gets a lot of slack and he definitely had a terrible end of the game. But when he was in today, I actually thought he played well. I'm talking about Denim Wojcik. He had a great lob to Cooper. I thought it was a phenomenal pass, and then he came out, drew a charge. In the little minutes he played in the first half, I thought he played really well, and on defense too, he was keeping up with the guards. And yeah, it was unfortunate how his game ended, but to start the game, I was like, I actually enjoyed watching him be out there. And then I noted Cam had 7 points in the first half. Really like that. The 4 dunks in a row from three from Cohen, one from Jordan. I know you're talking about that, but that was electric. And I was jumping out of my seat, man. It was just crazy. Cohen finally took over the game. Super happy. And then my last positive. The only positive you can take from the last minute and 20 seconds of the game, I got to witness Nick Sanders break a press. Break a press against Rutgers starters, man. They ran a play for Nick. They ran a play for Nick. So it was Wojcik like on the opposite side and it was Cam and then Nick. And then so it was a double pick for Wojcik that came off, and then Cam like set a pick for Nick. Then Nick came around and they passed Nick the ball, and then Nick got the ball, turned, saw someone down court right before he got trapped, passed it to him and broke the press. And I have it in all caps. Nick broke the press, and I know it's like any other game. It's like I don't know, man. I was just super happy for Nick that he got in and he did not only break the press, but against Rutgers starters too. So
Uh,
Nick should be a starter for the rest of the season.
no. One thing that I was gonna touch on with Denham, which is kind of funny, because I agree he had a couple of big plays here and there, but other than that, he's still just an absolute no-show on the court. The amount of times that the Izzone is screaming at him to take a shot, like he had multiple opportunities to just drive, maybe attempt a floater or any sort of shot to look like you're a basketball player, and he
Yeah.
just doesn't. He's just literally out there to dribble, and then if he sees an open pass, he'll take it. Like he doesn't really provide anything. The more funny stat that has been mentioned a lot in the Sleepers Media podcast that I watch a lot is this was one of Denim Wojcik's highest plus minus stats this season, and it was -4. So if that goes to show you how much of a negative he is on this team, it was one of his best
Well,
plus minus performances, and he was a
to
negative
be
four
fair,
altogether.
to be fair,
I mean,
I think he
yes,
could.
most of that came at the end of the game, but that was his
Yeah,
fault.
he.
That was his
I
fault.
know.
He can't
He
handle the
okay.
ball.
He had so first half he played really well. Second half he definitely was struggling a little bit, and that plus minus is definitely a result of what happened at the end of the game. And I
Him
feel
turning the
bad.
ball over and not
It
being
was
able to
his.
dribble.
It was his senior night, and like he came out really good. He ran the offense really effectively, and he actually was having people moving instead of them standing still like usually happens when he's in. But I mean, yeah, I just feel bad for him, man. He really sold what was gonna be a great night for his senior day. So
See, I would feel bad for him if he was a walk-on and he wasn't playing so much, and we had an actual backup point. Like if he was playing the same amount of minutes as Nick Sanders, would be like, "Oh yeah, go in there, Denham, go do something." Like I'd root for him just as much as Nick Sanders, but it's the fact that he's our backup point guard and he played 13 minutes yesterday, and he's just like a complete just no-show most of the time out there, and he's just there to dribble the ball and be a fifth person on the floor. It's just
yeah.
I feel bad, but at the same time, it's irritating. And then Tom Izzo says after the game, he's like, "Oh." Dan Wojcik had a great game. He used three greats, and I was just sitting there rolling my eyes. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" He had three assists and like four turnovers, and then like
But see,
he
he's one of those players where
no
like
shot attempts.
when he plays good, it doesn't show up in the stat sheet. And like he did have a really good game besides that last couple minutes. And it's like I feel bad for him because our fan base treats him terribly. And I mean, he like it's not necessarily his fault that he's on the court. It's our coaching staff for continuing to put him on the court. And it's like if we want him to get better, why are we tearing him down? Our fan base is so bad with that, and it actually really irritates me that we just tear him down. It's like if he's part of our team, whether he's like good or bad, like support him because his confidence is going down. If you think he's gonna get better because you keep telling him he's terrible, he's not. Like, and our fan base needs to be a lot better with that. I mean, but I don't know. That's just my 2 cents on the matter.
You're
But
switching up a little bit, but
I mean, it doesn't excuse that he's played bad in his other games. Like, that's not necessarily a thing, but like the way our fan base treats him, like um, the way our fan base treats him just doesn't really sit right with me. Like, it's okay to like say he had a bad game, but like they bash him. Like some of them don't even talk about basketball and they just be bashing him, and it's just ridiculous. But anyways, moving on to our negatives. I had to start off things in the beginning of the game, we had a 4 minute scoring drought. I honestly would prefer that way because I know in the last game we had a 5 minute scoring drought at the end of the game, and I was saying word for word that I'd prefer our scoring 4 or 5 minute scoring drought to come at the beginning of the game and not the end of the game, and that's exactly what happened this game. So I mean, it's a negative because it's a scoring drought, but considering what I said last game, it's yeah. But we came out super sloppy on offense and defense. We could not stop turning the ball over. I believe we had 6 turnovers in the first 12 minutes of the game and 10 first half turnovers. Um, Ridiculous, and we just needed to stop being sloppy. And then one thing I noticed too a lot in the first half is that we weren't playing Jackson and Coop together very much. And I know that they play in the game at different times, like, and they kind of offset each other, but it was a lot more this game of offsetting than it normally was. And in the second half, we fixed it, and Jackson and Coop were both playing on the floor together a lot more, and we started taking over the game, and that's when we eventually went up by like 19, I think. But in the first half, we weren't doing that, so I wasn't really too happy
interesting. I
with
didn't really
that.
notice that too much. I don't know if it was just because they were mixing Cam in there a little bit more, which they probably were because he was playing well. But
Yeah, he was playing well, but I don't know. I liked them playing together, and they did it more in the second half. And the results were exactly what it was. Um, yeah, and then I'm
going to
gonna
like that last minute and a half.
Yeah, so this is where I'm going to the last minute half. Before I do that though, I do want to say I'd mentioned this the other game. about interesting lineups, and this was another interesting lineup I saw with 14 minutes left in the first half. I marked the timestamp this
Oh,
time.
I thought you were going to say the interesting lineup of the last minute and a half. I was like, that
No,
was
I'll
certainly an
let you
interesting
hear.
lineup.
No. So with 14 minutes left in the first half, our lineup was Jeremy, Kurtang, Cohen, Cam, and Jordan.
Oh, wow.
And I thought that was definitely one of those
All ball.
experimental lineups to see what happens. Uh I honestly wasn't too upset with that lineup. Definitely not a lineup I want out there for more than 3 to 5 minutes. But if we're just trying to go small ball and up the tempo a little bit, I don't hate that lineup at all. But definitely not a lineup I want to see a ton of. But I just want to note that out before I get into the final unfortunate minute and 20 seconds.
Yeah. So I can start with that final minute and a half. All of like Rutgers scoring happened like directly in front of my face and them trying to break the press. It was just awful. So just to give a little bit of context, we were up 15 points with a minute and 20 seconds
I
left.
believe it was 62 or 82 to 68 is
Yeah.
what the score was when we
So
put
14 or 15 with a minute and 20 left. You'd think
our.
that's a safe lead. Like I had no problem with him trying to put all those guys in, and do the typical senior night thing. But then all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, but Rutgers, I mean, rightfully so. They don't have to. They're not obligated to pull their starters out and stop playing. Like,
They're still playing
um,
for stuff, so it's
yeah.
like I don't have a
So
problem with that.
granted, they didn't take any of their starters out, and then I think they just saw dog food when they saw Nick Sanders, Devin Wojcik, and Trey Fort trying to break a press together for the first time all season. Those three, and they're like, "All right, let's press them and go get the ball." And then immediately it was terrible. It was just turnovers. They'd pass it to the corner. Trey Fort didn't know where to go, turn it over, and that turned into a three. Oh, actually, I think the first like little 10 seconds of those guys being in together they got an and 1-3 where Denim Mojic just jumps into the guy and like tackles him right
That's
before
what
he
started it
bounces in.
all because it was like as soon as they because that was the first thing I have on my notes. The very first thing that started that run and what unfortunately led to Denim Wojcik just having an awful end of the game and end up being a minus, whatever. That's what started it all is he literally like it was so stupid, dude. Like you're up by I understand it's your senior night, you want to play hard and everything, but you're up by so many points and just let them shoot the three. Like there's no reason to be running into them like that. And
But I'm pretty sure
just
they won a 20-6 run in the last minute and 20
yeah.
seconds, which is crazy. And what was I going to say before the so what would have been interesting and I would have liked to see if we could have like at that point we were still up by like 9 or 10. I would have liked if we wanted to still do the senior night stuff during the game out because there was a point where um that they were coming okay, so before Denham and Nick and Trey Ford all came in together, Jackson and Coop were still in the game, right? So I would have liked instead of all of them to come in at once, I think it would have been better, especially like maybe they didn't realize that they were pressing before this happened, but I think it would have been better to get Carson and Jax their moment right there and bring and sub them out for those three guards that came in, have them get their moment, and then keep somebody like Jeremy in and Jordan Scott in to help break the press. It's not like we need centers out there for some size. Like
Well, they
all Rutgers
weren't
is trying to do
playing.
is press and foul and shoot threes. Like they're not. We don't need necessarily size in there.
Well, the thing is like you were saying, they just saw dog food because they were not pressing before that lineup came in. So they put that lineup in and they just started pressing. So it's like exactly what you said. They saw meat right in front of them and they just started eating. Pause. Um, and yeah, man, it was just like I completely agree. Because I was pretty upset that I didn't get to see them do our normal tradition where the seniors get to sub out, kiss the floor. And I feel like that would have been a good moment and the game would have still been controlled. You'd get like we had enough of a lead for them to come out. I honestly would have rather Tom waited like 30 more seconds because then there'd be 50 seconds on the clock. That's an appropriate time to take Jackson Coop out, kiss the floor. They got all their final moments, take them out. And then that gives you enough time to take the remaining three seniors out as well. So I
Yeah.
thought it was mostly on how coach did it.
Yeah, I just think he was too focused on having them all in at the same time, no matter what, to get it all done. I think it would have been perfectly fine to get all in their moments a little bit separately, but also keep, like I said, keeping Jeremy in there for most of the time so he's able to break the press
Yeah.
rather than them just looking like a JV basketball team passing it to the corner, not knowing what to do with it, and then it just looked awful. But
Yeah, I
they
agree.
got the job done at the end of the day. But I don't really want to touch on it too much more because I do want to wrap
Yeah.
this video up here soon. I do want to, if before I get into my experience in the zone, do you have anything else to say
Yeah,
about?
like couple things. Well, for one, their center Oblay or whatever, he went on like a 10-point run by himself, which is crazy. And then the last thing I'm going to touch on, well, I guess there's two things. One, I'm not too worried with how the game ended. I thought it was just kind of a fluke. There wasn't really, it was just, we were getting wrapped up in senior night emotions. I'm not really too hung up on what happened, for one. For two, I saw some people online criticizing Izzo for not calling that final timeout and having Wojcik end up having to take it. I don't really think that criticism is valid because, yes, in a normal game, yeah, for sure. But if you look into it and how Izzo was thinking about it, he wasn't thinking that Rutgers were going to come back and like do that crazy stuff. They went on a 14-3 run in 51 seconds, which is crazy. Um, he was saving that timeout to sub out all the seniors. That's what he was saving it for, and that's why he didn't call the timeout. And I think that needed to be said, because there's some people out there that were criticizing him, and I just don't think it was warranted because of the situation. But anyways, um, we can move on to your experience in the zone.
Yeah, truly a full circle moment for me, just as a Michigan State fan. Growing up, going to dozens and dozens of Michigan State, basketball games, been a huge part of my life, huge part of me growing up and just having the passion that I do for Michigan State. And growing up, I always wanted to be in the zone, always wanted to be a part of it. Didn't work out that way, went to a different school, but not mad at that choice at all. But so yeah, when the opportunity came where, my cousin offered me his own ticket because it was during spring break and a lot of people were getting up their tickets, I took it in a heartbeat. Got there super early, about 2 hours before the doors even opened. Was like one of the first 20 to 30 people in line. And but I had full intentions on sitting or standing pretty much because I didn't sit the whole game, but I had full intentions in getting my spot right behind the Michigan State bench. And I was too excited when I first got there. I just kind of ran straight in there and I just went to the side of where I saw the Michigan State players warming up and then not thinking of like, oh yeah, they're probably warming up on the opposite side of their bench right now. And then I looked up like just a quick video. I'm like, oh, where does MSU normally sit? And it was in the opposite end. So it's like, it's whatever. But I got to chirp the Rutgers players during the game, so that was still fun. Still had a great seat. I was really in the front row, right behind Rutgers bench.
On TV.
Just overall amazing experience. Wanted to be a part of it my whole life. They had these afros sitting out for all of us. I probably was on the big screen probably a dozen times the whole game. There was two stretches where I was on there like 30 seconds straight, just everything on me. The first time I believe I was singing a Taylor Swift song and I was just, all into it and I was just lip syncing to that. And then it was I was on this for like the last like that minute stretch that we were just talking about, like the last 40 seconds when we were starting to bloat a little bit. Put the camera on me and I was just getting fired up, just like like in the camera. I was just like I can't remember exactly what I was doing. It was like 45 straight seconds though, where it was everyone just staring at me alone, like zoomed in, and I was just locked in. But really, really fun experience. Can't beat it, dude. Like if I had the opportunity to do that, like my whole college career, like they would just be insane. Just being that up and close and personal every single game, it would just be amazing. But yeah, overall amazing experience, especially on a night like senior night. It was really cool. When they did all the senior night stuff after the game, when like the players are walking by with their families, they walked like directly in front of me so I could see like all their emotions like right in front of me. Jackson almost made me tear up low key because he walked by and you can just see it on his face that he was like holding back like tears and stuff like that. So that almost got to me a little bit, but just an overall really cool experience. And, like I said, just full circle moment for me. Um, but yeah, other than that, I think that'll do it for this recap. We got one more game left in the regular season, and that is against the Scum Wolverines. So
Eaters.
we will get to that preview hopefully later today and have it out before tomorrow's game at 4:30 p.m. But yeah, other than that, go green.
Go white.